like to reflect on the Patimokkha today and applying that to our meditation practice and also to our daily life. You will be amazed that you'll be amazed to know that these short stanzas of the Patimokkha were repeated by the Buddha himself for almost 20 years, every fortnight. So at least twice a month, the Buddha would repeat Khanti Paramang Bodhidikha. Khanti is the highest practice. Nibbanang Paramang Vadanti Buddha. Nibbana is the highest experience, or the Buddha said. So Nibbana, the cessation of suffering as the highest aim, as the highest aim, then the practice is Khanti. We have the highest aim and the highest form of practice. The supreme goal is Nibbana. And then the supreme practice is Khanti. Khanti. To simplify that, okay, a few more lines. I'm going to sum them up in 3 areas, in 3 points. In 3 points where Khanti needs to be applied, 3 areas. I'm not going to, I'm not going according to the order of the stanza, but something that I feel more people can practice and can benefit. So I'm going to order the 3 items according to my feeling. So the first one is about eating. Mattanyu cha. Okay, mattanyu is to be moderate in eating. So in eating is where eating is and one of the main areas where we lose Khanti. We work so hard. We go to school, we learn so hard. Our parents also work so hard so that we can have good food every day, easily available wherever we go, so that we can afford the best food. But when we actually sit down at the dining table, you ask yourself honestly how much you value the food on the table. You know, your mind is not on the food for so long. Then you start thinking about something else. You start thinking about the visitors. You start thinking about what you're going to do after the meal. And sometimes, We even disregard the food on the table by talking about the food which is not on the table. By talking about the food which is not on the table, we're actually disregarding what is here. We can use a harsher word, a harsh word, a rude word. We can say we insult the food on the table by talking about the food in the supermarket, not on the table. You see, ทำให้อาหารคนโตน้อยใจ You you made the food on the table. Uh, disheartened, feel disheartened because instead of appreciating the food in front of you, you start talking about other food as if this food is not important, not delicious. And we don't actually give um, loving attention to each food because we have many dishes. We take one or two bites of one dish and then we're distracted to by another dish, another dish, another dish. By the time we have gone round, we're almost full. It looks that no food can satisfy us. At least cannot satisfy us for 2 meals. One meal maybe we have a little candy, small candy, to tolerate the dishes for one meal. This is where I like to recount uh, my experiences when I was a student in a monastery in Hong Samudi. Every morning, red bean, every morning, peas, red bean, and soup, pakchong. That's soup. That's the whole 5 years. You can see the big at first, okay, because we never had them before. So when I got that first, it was exciting. After a few days, no more excitement. And the mind starts thinking, then you get bored. You go through all those emotions. Then it's a discipline, you don't choose. As part of the monastic life, you eat what is on the table. Then you have to come to terms with this. For 4 years, I was a student. 1 year, I was a teacher. When I was here, of course, we had choices. By that time, I have come to love the red bean. The red bean. So looking back now, I could see the virtue of repeating something. So if you want to develop Khanti, try to eat the same dish for 2 or 3 meals at least. Don't change anything. Don't change the ingredients. Don't change the vegetable. Don't change anything. And see how your mind is complaining. Okay. The mind will start thinking about any food except the one on the table. We go by the taste. We don't go by the vitamins. the nutritions. So in the Ovadatapatimokkha, the Buddha said, eating is one of the areas we have to take care of Khanti. If you take coffee, the same coffee every day, that's a virtue. If you take tea, the same tea every day, that's a virtue. Because you overcome boredom. You overcome boredom. Khanti is then in developing Khanti, we have to face and we have to work with boredom. Sometimes you don't really know what the mind is looking for. It's looking for excitement because it's very, it feels bored. Boredom is the manifestation of moha. Moha. One of the ways that shows we don't have Khanti in eating is we chew very fast and we don't chew enough, we just swallow. We just swallow. So Long Po Thich Nhat Hanh said a good meditator chews up to about 50 times, 60 times for one bite. And that's good for your health as well because you produce a lot of enzyme. I usually tell young novices to chew at least about 20 times for one bite. They're so much in a hurry as if they're running when they're eating, as if they are um, running a marathon. So eating is where we can develop Khanti. By eating here, okay, we also mean by extension, we also mean clothing. We also mean shelter, but Jaisi, also medicine. But the Buddha uses here just eating. You can watch a video on Buddhism by Richard Gere on YouTube. Buddhism for everyone. That's the title. Buddhism for everyone. He mentioned to Westerners, okay, how Buddhism can help them. Okay, he said, you really like cookie. The first day you have cookies, wonderful. The second day is good. The third day, not so good. The fourth, the fifth day, you hate it. If you have to have the same, type of cookie every day, you will hate. Here, the cookie hasn't changed. What has changed is our ability to enjoy it, our ability to appreciate it. It has changed. Meaning, we have a very shallow ability to enjoy it, not profound one. So it doesn't matter how hard our parents work and how hard we still work to have good food on the table. When the good food is actually there, we lack the ability to actually enjoy it. That is why I encourage people to develop Khanti with aditana on the one hand, on the other with mudita, so that we can appreciate. We can appreciate. You look at one dish, so many things in it, so many ingredients, and each one comes from a different farm, a different industry. So without Khanti, we eat more, but we get less. We get less in terms of nutrition, in terms of enjoyment, uh, in terms of fulfillment, in terms of happiness. We get less without Khanti. We change the menu for the sake of excitement, not so much for the vitamins, not so much for the nutrition, more for excitement, sometimes also for social status, for the wrong reason. If we have to keep changing the menu very fast, what happened? I remember one lecture from my college, St. Anne's at Oxford. Professor Dr.Khammai from Imperial College, a food expert, and also chief scientific advisor to the UK government. He gave a lecture. 1 million starving. Can we feed? That's the title of the lecture and also the title of his book. Bill Gates wrote something for him on the front. He gave me a copy, so I still have it. I remember one point he mentioned to produce 1 pound of meat. Shall we say 1 kilo because 1 pound is so English. That's 1 kilo of meat. How many soybean you would need to feed the animals? And for how many kilos of soybean? How many land you need to clear for cultivation? So he was only focusing on meat. And the same applies, he said briefly, to vegetation, that we have to clear the land, the forest, in order to produce more variety of vegetation. Because we don't have plenty for just one vegetables. It's almost a crime to eat just one dish, just one type of vegetable. You make yourself feel bad, okay? Not to have a big variety. You make yourself feel bad. It's a perception. It's a social perception. If the physician, if the doctors have to really prescribe food for you, it's very simple. I saw หลวงพ่อวัดพระรามเก้า being prescribed by the doctor from Chula. They sent him, he can't put salt, no salt, because his kidney cannot digest that. Earlier, the devotees, they prepare for him. The doctors look at his blood test. No, the devotees don't follow their advice. So they said, no food will be sent. So they sent. หลวงพ่อ told me ต้องปัจเจ้าขณะเยอะๆจึงจะฉันได้ meaning you really have to have mindful of food in order to eat that. What the doctors prescribe you. What the doctor prescribe you is what is needed for the body to be healthy. Especially in Asia, we have so many dishes. In Europe, not so many for meal. So I hope if you, when you go home tomorrow, you will remember that the dining table is the Khanti meditation area. You eat slowly, and to eat slowly means to enjoy it because we work ever so hard. And when it comes to the time to enjoy it, we um, we are not patient enough to enjoy. No Khanti. So when you have your cup of tea, your cup of coffee, please enjoy it. To enjoy that, you need to have Khanti. The second area, okay, earlier I like to sum up the first point, eating. Actually, it's about it's about lifestyle. To have Khanti in lifestyle, that's the point. Second point is with socializing. The second point, the the actual um, teaching, the actual instruction of the Buddha is not to talk negatively behind people's back. That's the point. Um, it's just so easy to talk about somebody when she's not here, when he's not here, and to talk in negative terms. There are many good things, but we choose a negative one. The negative point is what is on the surface. The good one we don't usually see if we don't make effort. That is why by practicing mudita, by developing positive thinking, positive outlook, we help strengthen Khanti. So at the end of the day, each day, you can check, have I spoken of negative, have I spoken of someone negatively today? Just check that one. Have I spoken of negatively about somebody today? Sometime subconsciously, sometime out of dissatisfaction. Parupa Vato, that's the Pali word. To criticize other people negatively. In other words, if we have negative viewpoint, if we are pessimistic, it's ever so hard to retain Khanti. And if we have positive thinking, if we have mudita, it's a lot easier to retain Khanti, to practice Khanti. In social dealing, this is very important. On daily basis, check your Twitter, your Facebook, your Line, your WeChat, your everything, all these social media tools. Okay, today, did I share anything, any news, just to highlight the negative point of somebody? Or do I promote positive things to create harmony? In the five precepts, this is the fourth one. Usawata Veramani Sikkhapadang Samadhiya. To be mindful of our speech, because it can cause damage in relationship. It can cause damage to our psychological habit, to our outlook of life. It can create negative environment in a society. When we practice mudita, it's a lot easier to see good things, to see good things. And when that happens, um, it becomes uh, far more better to not talk about other people negatively. Um, so this is the second point in the Order Patimokkha that the Buddha talks in relation to Khanti. And this second point is about social relation. We don't live alone. Even if we live in a family, if you live in a family, you still have other people. Not only, I mean, it's not enough, not just to speak ill, to speak negatively of other people. We should go further and check, okay, have I seen something positive of everyone in the family today, or my friends today? We're thinking about their good points. The last one is also about social relationship, but it goes beyond that. It goes beyond that. It goes um, up to the governance of a country, uh, how we run our company, our society, our temple, our organization. This third one. The third one, the Buddha said, don't use violence. Don't use violence, avihingsa, to follow non-violence. When we get angry, that's when we lose our Khanti. When we are not satisfied with something, maybe a service, maybe the weather, maybe the quality of something. We we're we're getting less than the standard we expect. You can see this is the point where we lose our Khanti daily. Two professors of law from the West, they did research around the world in prisons, researching the reason why people go to prison. What's the top reason? Is it poverty? Is it um, a bad political system? Is it injustice? Then no, it's anger. Anger is the top cause, the top reason people go to prison. That's losing country. Some people are, when they lose their temper, they become violent verbally. They shout, they become aggressive. Some people physically. So the Buddha said this: practice Khanti in relation to violence, practice Khanti in relation to speech, practice Khanti in relation to eating. Remember, the first time the Buddha taught Ovadatimokkha, he taught to 1,250 arahants, all arahants. Because those arahants, they would have to go and teach other people a way of life, a peaceful way of life. That would be good for the economy, for the social dealing, and also for the governance. Um, for the first 20 years, there was no what we know now as Patimo. There was no such thing. The Buddha didn't lay them down. There was no rule for the monks to follow for the first 20 years. You may have heard in Thai Pathom Sompot, Pathom Sompot, the Dhammasami Bodhi. Pathom Sompot is the first 20 years of enlightenment. The first 20 years after the Buddha's enlightenment. That period is called Pathom Sompot. And there is a Pali text written in Thailand of Pathom Sompot. For the whole 20 years, for the whole entire period of Pathom Sompot, the Buddha repeated this one. Khanti is the highest practice, highest form of prayer for 20 years. Not that the Arahants didn't have Khanti, not that the Arahant needed to be reminded of how to eat mindfully, not that the Arahant were violent, that they needed to be reminded. No, they were all perfect. But it's very interesting why the Buddha chose to repeat these messages every fortnight for 20 years. He himself did that. In other words, Khanti sums up all the quality of the Eightfold Path. It sums it up. Sin, Samadhi, Panya, the threefold training. If you have patience, if you have Khanti, both levels, the first Khanti, you are not quite peaceful, then higher one, you are peaceful. If you maintain that Khanti, that quality, five precepts are secure. They are automatically secure. In the Noble Eightfold Path, three factors related to Sila, ethical training, right speech, right action, right livelihood. If you have patience, if you have Khanti which is applied in the three areas which I have just described, those three factors, Samma Vaja, Samma Kammanta, Samma Ajiva, right speech, right action, right life, they are all secure. If you have Khanti, now you see in this short retreat that concentration develops. You see that mindfulness also develops. In order to fulfill your adhitthana of 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, 1.5 hours, 2 hours, you need to make effort. That's virya. Effort here, in terms of samapatansi, that effort is about checking our shortcoming, also identifying our strength. Our strength. So when we look at our posture every 3 minutes, we are checking if the posture needs straightening up, correcting, or if it's all right. We're checking. That's virya. That's virya. And to apply that virya, you can't possibly do that without mindfulness, without sammasati. Non-violence and not talking bad of other people. The samma sankappa. That's good thinking, right thinking, right thinking. We restrain from doing those things because we understand dukkha. To understand dukkha is samadhi, right? Understand. You can see all the eight factors in there. So to summarize, um, the application area, the three application areas of Khanti is number one, eating. By eating, we also include clothing and shelter. shelter, we also include transport. So we include those things. The second area is about speech. It's about communication. Communication. And the third one is non-violence. This is about emotion control when we don't get our way. For monastic, for the monks and nuns, maybe also for lay people, there's one more area. That area is about respecting the rules. Respecting the rules. If you have to queue for a taxi, check your Khanti. If you go on holiday, if you go elsewhere. And if you fly, okay, once the plane touched down, people are so impatient. Everybody wants to get down quickly. And then I observe everywhere. Oh, uh, there's a sign. Maybe sitting on the plane is like a tube. People feel so stuffy that they couldn't wait to get out of it. The same, not just people in economic class, and people in business class, in first class, they all behave in the same way, the same way. And I have been on Dutch airline, on Arab airline, on Qatar, on Emirates, on Australian airline, on American airline, British airline, on Thai, NTG, Singapore, Burmese, Indian, Sri Lankan, um, passenger to all behave in the same way. You don't talk about candy on the plane. You're fighting a losing battle. Once they got out of the plane, in many uh, cases, in many countries, before the AI came, no, you had to queue for visa at the immigration counter. It was a long queue. It was a long queue. Mm. So to follow the rule like that, and when you have to pass um, the security screen in the airport, or when you have to queue at the checkout counter in the supermarket, is a good time to check your candy. And when you drive, when there is traffic, a lot of traffic in Bangkok, it's also a good time to check candy. Everybody works so hard so that they can have a car. A family of three with 4 cars, 5 cars. This is quite normal in Bangkok. It's a lifestyle that you work hard for. As a result, when there is traffic, you should feel mudita. Oh, everybody has got more than a car. Everybody is complaining, is actually shouting at the London mayor because of the zone, the I don't remember exactly the term. So if you go into central London, you know, he charges you more, £10 plus something like that. So people complain. This is the burden of success. Burden of success. If you are born as a single child, usually you don't have patience. At Oxford University, um, the professors they complain that students from China was one child who were born during the one child policy. They don't have patience. They don't have consideration for other people. They come into the lab, they use the instrument, they just leave it like that. They don't put them back into their own places. When the next person comes, it's a mess. That happens all the time. Okay, they are reminded that you have to have consideration for other people, and it's written over there. But those students, they just don't remember. They are not brought up that way. As the only child in the family, um, some parents they have this awareness and they train the child to have Khanti. Um, if if the child has not been trained that way, he has no Khanti for anyone. For anyone. Life can be very frustrating for them because there's no Khanti. So this time we start about Khanti here. Any question?
พระอาจารย์ could you please explain about in the Four Noble Truths นิโรธ usually it's like ทุกข์สมุทัยนิโรธมรรค one นิโรธ has to come before มรรค all the time as in order or มรรค can come first.
When you say order, which order? The order of practice is one thing. The order of listening is another. When you go to see a doctor, the doctor would tell you, you take this medicine, you will be okay. You will be okay. You will get cured. Your problem will be solved. You haven't taken the medicine, but the doctor already said you will be okay. You will be okay means nirod. Nirod. There's reassurance. Reassurance that there is cure. So when the Buddha arranged the order to Samudaya Nirod, he needs to make the listener interested and then reassure them. There is a way, there is the end. There is the end. Really, now they are interested, really. Yes, now he can talk about Mark. So it's psychological order. Okay, not practice order. But whatever order you put, all the four, they have to function together. You cannot say, okay, I work on Tuk first, then I discover Smutai, then I go to Mark. No, only with Mark, with the fourth one, can you understand the first one. Only with the help of number 4, Mark, that you discover Samutai and Avruti. They all work together. So uprooting Tanha and achieving Nirodha, they mean the same thing. It happens at the same time. At the same time. The example given is that you have 4 ropes um, on a piece of wood, and you cut with a very sharp knife. All the 4 they get cut off at the same time. That's the way the Four Noble Truths function. You cannot practice number 1, number 2, and suspend it for 2 years before picking up the third one. If you suspend the first 2, you start from 0. Aruni, you must have a question. All the 4 sisters. The first one already started. You all have to follow.
My friends, she's doing the lotus sitting. Yeah. And she make the determination from 1 hour and increase to 3 hours. And she told me that, oh, very suffering, but she very, very Khanti. And she challenged me to do that. I said, it doesn't matter. Okay. And then I would like to ask Pra Ajahn that by doing that, she's already developed Khanti. But what the difference between that we doing Khanti meditation, but she doesn't realize yet. Yeah, I I I I think that she's gradually come to this point. I think, but actually, there's a difference, right?
If she can sit for 3 hours with the help of the teacher, she would be able to sit for 1.5 hours on her own quite easily. Meaning she has that Khanti. It's already Khanti. Of course, they don't use the word Khanti, they use the word Atitana. Atitana for 1 hour, for 2 hours, for 3 hours, like that. In order to tolerate something, you make a vow, you make a determination, a titan, that I'm going to do this. A conscious vow that you're going to do that. And that helps you. For the people who haven't done that at the time for 2 hours, they would find it difficult to sit through 1 hour without change. So for them, to sit 1 hour is quite easy. They can tolerate the physical discomfort without much effort. So Khanti is there. They may not realize the word, but Khanti is there. The hospital, they use the word pain threshold. Pain threshold. So her pain threshold increases.
How can we have Khanti without not to attack Gilamathan Yokong? not too too much, not too in the middle, Khanti in the middle, yeah.
I cannot answer this question because where is the middle? Where is too much that it can be practiced, it can be called Atta Kilometer Yoga. Atta Kilometer Yoga. The teachers who advocate that practice, they will say, if you keep changing your posture, you're torturing yourself. Because you strengthen your Dhamma. And that Dhamma will keep asking for more and more, more and more. It will take away your ability to enjoy your food, to enjoy your clothes, to enjoy your car, your house. It will take away the ability. So you see many good things, but you're still frustrated. That's self-torture according to them. So of course you push yourself. You really have to work hard. And without teachers close support, um, is it's almost impossible to do that because you're pushing yourself. But once you have done that for 7 days, for 10 days, then you know the difference. Because in subsequent meditation retreats, in subsequent sitting, your attitude towards pain has changed. You no longer see the pain as something to get rid of. You just see the four elements changing, doing their work, and you look at them, you are still at peace. You're still at peace. Either way, ต้องลงทุน need to invest. You need to invest. Okay. Whether you invest 1 hour or 3 hours. Okay. If you invest 1 hour, you will get the interest for 1 hour. 3 hours, you will get 3 times more. เดี๋ยวหนึ่ง
Actually, Ajahn already answered because that I'm gonna ask Pitpom mentioned that her friend like sit for 3 hours and like she suffer or not? That's my question. Suffer for sit for 3 hours or not? So that's why my question is it's about Khanti, but Ajahn already answered actually. It's like she in the level 1, right? That Ajahn said that if she keep doing it, no, Ajahn did not say that she keep, but Ajahn answer Jim, but interconnect that if she keep practicing 3 hours until she see like 4 elements, right? So she will be peaceful. That's the answer, right? Okay. that's upgrade to be
in
able
that
to.
yeah in that system usually it takes 3 or 4 days. 10 days retreat, it takes about 3 days or 4 days. When you suffer, you really have to work hard. But after that, it's like 1 hour. 3 hours is like 1 hour. Believe me, I have done 14 retreats for this 14 times. 14 times. 14 times 2 hours, 1 time 3 hours. 1 retreat, 3 hours. The first few days, it's hard just to get by each session. each session. It's hard because the body is not used, so you have to train the body. And you also have to train the mind. Yeah. And when you have passed the 4th day or the 5th day, for me, for the 3 hours, it was the 5th day. On the 5th day, when there was a breakthrough, I thought I could sit all day. I could sit all day. When you look at the pain, and the pain all of a sudden subsides. Before that, we always thought the pain, there's no subsiding of pain, only increasing. It's mind made. The mind is making that up. But the physical tension level remain the same. Remain the same. But the attitude of the mind towards that, how the mind relates to that, has changed. Yeah. It's not good to talk about this so much until the next retreat when we start sitting 3 hours. any posture, they allow you, but you're not supposed to move. They also have lying meditation where you lie on your back, like sleeping. They have that also. 3 hours also. First, actually now they have modified their practice. First, you go for 30 minutes, and then 45 minutes, and then 1 hour, like that. Because not many people could go for that. And then straight away for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah, they prepare for people 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 1 hour, like that. If you can, if you can, in that way, they bring you up to 3 hours within 10 days. No, up to 2 hours within 10 days. One of the monks I sent, because I asked them to hold a special retreat for 17 months, 17 of my season. One of the monks was actually crying. He cried. He couldn't stand the pain. He's quite young, in his early 30s. He couldn't take.
Rajan, how about the health side? Is it good for health or not? If we sit for 3 hours, long for 3 hours, still.
I don't really know, but many medical doctors participate in this. Before they do this, they have a lot of doubt. They have a lot of doubt. But when you actually do that, when you do forced breathing, you actually supply more oxygen to your lungs, and the blood circulation is better. The blood circulation is better, but because you force yourself to breathe, the wind element works at a speedier level. So it triggers metabolism, that is the heat, to increase. And the wind and the heat together, they trigger the earth element to increase. So when all the elements are triggered and they start working at a higher level, that's when we see the peak of the pain. At that moment, you really need the support of the teachers. Sometimes you breathe so fast, they come and tell you to slow down. They take care of you individually. One teacher, 10 meditators like this. So they teach as a group, as a group. And one of my assistants, because the first time we went to that tradition, that retreat, 53 of us. One staff from the academy office, she couldn't take the pain anymore. She has done Goenka 2 hours. She passed that easily. But when she came to this 2 hour, you change the breathing pattern. She couldn't take it. She couldn't. She was sweating, and then she started using all sorts of techniques that she knew, Goenka, Mahasi, and all. Finally, she couldn't do anything, so she started recite in her mind, Anicang, Anicang, Anicang. Only in her mind. The nun comes straight away. Don't recite Anicang. And she was shocked. How did she know that? They look at your facial expression and they know the mind. They know the mind. It's, you suffer only in the first few days. After 3 or 4 days, you don't even breathe. You just let breathing. And you don't breathe consciously like we do here anymore. Instead, you focus on something else. If you can't tolerate the pain, now if you do harsh breathing, forced breathing, you can overcome that pain easily. So you want to go back to that forced breathing. The teacher will come and stop you. Don't do that. Don't do that. Now it's time to use your concentration to cope with the pain, to look at the reaction to pain like that. If you have done 3 hours, that means um, you have passed a kind of dukkha vedana. Then you will get stuck in sukha vedana. And at that time, you are still practicing how to keep your posture correct all the time. Because when sukha vedana comes in, it changes the posture. Dukkha vedana and the posture is one thing. After you have done that, you know a kind of how to do that, how to perfect that. Then there comes another challenge, sukha vedana. People can sit for a very long time at that stage, but they are not making any progress because they get lost in sukha vedana. And the main thing is that the posture just slumps. So the teacher enforces posture, strict posture. I mentioned the metaphor last time. At that stage, you are content with sitting longer because you don't feel pain. The pain doesn't disturb you. And you're happy with that. And the teacher asks you to focus on sukha vedana, to thoughts, to emotion, to images. Many students, they don't put effort anymore because it's nice to get stuck there. So the teacher would say, you are like somebody looking for a frog, like go picking up frog. You got one frog, you hit it and you put it in your bag, and you go on 1 hour, 2 hours, okay, looking for more. You don't get anything. You don't get any more frogs because you don't put much effort. You are curious looking at that, looking at that, looking at that thing. And then to console yourself, you look at you take the old frog inside out, hit it again and put it back. It's the old frog. So this is the danger if we go to many meditation retreat. We only have one frog and we keep hitting it, putting it back. So the teacher would say, don't stop here, don't stop here. And so the 3 hours is for them, they struggle only the first few days. After that, they're going to get stuck in Sukh Vedana. That's equally difficult, more delicate, equally difficult. You need strong Khanti as well. Khanti. You walk around the whole day, look at your bag, you bring out the old frog, which is already dead, you hit it, you put it back, you walk a few rounds, take it back again. So at the end of each retreat, check the frog inside.